Welcome to Thankful Thursday on the fifth Thursday of the month, which I usually don't do. Let me go ahead and get this started on the various channels because I have to manually start some of this stuff. So we're going to go over to Instagram and say go live. We'll go over to Facebook and refresh and share into my group because it no longer comes up automatically. Okay, so let me go to group. Quilting with Amanda Murphy. Okay. So now I'm moving back to the streaming software. So thank you if you're tuning in today. I think it's going to be a smaller Thankful Thursday than usual because usually I don't do the fifth Thursday of the month. So I'm not sure if people will remember or not, but I'm going to do this as a recording and then you guys can watch later. So I still will do one, barring nothing happening. I still will do another. Oh, I needed a new bobbin. I still will do another Thankful Thursday next week because it will be the first Thursday of the month and I will be here. So I'm going to be quilting on the Q series today, but this also will be relatable if you are on a domestic machine because you hold the rulers the same way. Um, and I'm going to be continuing a design that I did the last time. So if you don't know where this came from, you can check the live stream that would have been done in mid-October 2025 if it is still up. So that's what we'll be doing today is just filling in that. Hello, Bonnie. Um, so that's what we'll be doing. If you are watching this, hello, Roseanne. If you're watching this as a live stream, I try to answer your questions. If you're watching it as a recording, I never go back through these because if I did, if I had to watch myself do these, I would never do another. So if you guys have a question, you're watching this as a recording later, okay? Come into my Facebook group, which is Quilting with Amanda Murphy. You have to apply for membership. And there's 3 questions when you apply for membership. One's what's your favorite quilting technique? One's what's your email? I don't care if you answer that or not. That adds you to my mailing list, but I don't send out a lot of emails because I think it's annoying. But it would add you to my list. And the third, I don't know, is how did you hear about us or something? Just say something quilty related, like free motion, ruler work, etc., for your favorite quilting technique. So I know you're not a robot. So we have at least 4 people here. So this is not normally a day I live stream, so I expect that there'll be less people here than there normally are, and that is okay. But I thought I'd give you a little bonus content today. I was about to thread my Q series, but then I decided to thread it on camera so I can show you something. So today we're going to be doing that fill. I haven't really decided what I want to do yet on the fill, but we're going to do that. And yeah, so we'll go from here. Um, it would be interesting to do a spiral in. I have to think about how to do that on this fill. Before we get started, if you are influenced by this broadcast or any of my broadcasts to buy a Bernina, whether it is a domestic like the 990 or the 475 or anything in between, or a serger or a long arm or software, any of those things. It won't work on a software upgrade, but it works on the full version of the software. And you would like $100 rebate card. Please contact me using the contact form on my website. Do not contact me on Facebook. It is way too easy for me to miss messages, but also I have to keep email records for Bernina. So contact me using my contact form. You have to purchase within 30 days of contacting me, but you have to contact me before you buy. It won't work if you contact me after you buy. That doesn't work, okay? Because I can't backdate the cards. Same thing for Laura Stars over $7.99. If you would like a $50 rebate on those, please contact me using my contact form. And this is US only because this is paid for by the US Bernina of America or Laura Star of America. It comes out of their budget, so that's why it's US only. Let's see. What else? Uh, I have to tell you about upcoming live events. So I have one more this year, which is the week after next, and it's already full. It filled really fast. I was surprised how fast it filled. It was Decorative Stitch in Michigan. You can still get on the wait list for that event, but the event is full as of right now. And then I'm home, but I'm not resting. I'm drawing all the stuff for the next year. So that's what I will be doing. Tina, I'll get back because I wanted to talk about Adal Vice anyway, so I will answer your question. After that, the next event will be in the new year. It's Stitch House in Texas, the 22nd to the 24th. As soon as I see her post for that, I'll share it into my group and onto my page. And after that, we have Going Batty in Reno, Nevada. That is, I have to look because if I don't look, I'll say it wrong. February 13th through 15th. Then in March 17th through 19th. I have a bunch of filmings in March, but that doesn't involve you guys. March 17th through 19th, I'll be at Chestnut Ridge. In April, I'll be at Atlanta Sewing Center. I do not know if they've announced that event yet. But that's on my calendar. April 15th to 17th, I'll be at Hoover's in Mifflinburg, Pennsylvania. And I'll be at H&H for you guys who are at the Consumer Sewer, the business show. I will be at H&H, but I'm not teaching there. I'm going to have a booth and do rulers there. May 6th through 8th. No, that's the H&H show. May 14th to 16th, I'll be at Quality, and that takes me up through the first half of the year, and Quality is in Seattle, Washington. So that is where I'll be. Which reminds me, I need to make a note to email someone about something. If I don't write it down, I won't do it. One of those events. Okay, so that's where I'll be. And so I hope you can join me there. All those events are multi-day events, meaning you spend half a day with me and half a day with sergers and half a day with domestic machines, etc. So, it's weird. I'm going to go and close Facebook because it's like delayed and it's throwing me off. Okay, let me go back to my streaming software. Okay, so those are events, right? Now going to, from Canada. Thank you. For your Adal Vice pattern, you recommend laying the soft web on. Okay. I'm going to talk to you about Adal Vice. So Adal Vice is the quilt behind with me, and I have a few things to say about this. You can do in the hoop embroidery with this file. Hold on a second. I'm going to reach down and get one of these. But there are also templates in the pattern. So you can do it like traditional fusible applique, right? Each block is embroidered before it's pieced into the quilt. So the big flowers are one hooping on the 990, but two on the 7 series. And if you're really determined and you have a 5 series, 5 on the 5 series, right? But you can also do it. The placement diagrams are given. Hold on 1 minute. I'm just reading how. The placement diagrams are given so you can do traditional applique too, right? So when I cut these, I cut them on my Cricut Maker using the SVG files that are provided. And then I embroidered them. I had, at the time, because I was at a deadline, I had 2 of my 7 series going, and I had 1 990 going. And because I didn't want to multi-hoop the big blocks, I did the big blocks in the 990, and I did the little blocks on my 7 series, but I did them in pairs. And as part of the pattern, um, there there is for the maxi hoop, you can get two in instead of just one of the little blocks, and those files with two blocks, two of the little blocks in, are included in the download that comes with the pattern. Now, obviously, this pattern behind me is a lot of cutting, you guys. And I cut it on my Cricut Maker. I do have a scan and cut, but it's an older machine than my Maker, and my Cricut Maker has a rotary blade. Okay, and so with the rotary blade, it was able to cut around. Normally on a Cricut Maker with a rotary blade, or any cutting machine that has a rotary blade, I would apply my paperback fusible web to the back of the fabric, right? And then I would peel off the paper and put it right side down, so the fusible side's up, onto the cutting mat, and I would cut out the shape on the Cricut Maker. Now, if I had a machine that just had a knife blade, there's no way I'd do that. I'd leave the paper on because it needs more stability. Well, anyway, that's how I'd normally do it. But for this quilt, because of all those leaf shapes, I found I had better results when I left the paperback fusible web on and I put the paper side down onto the sticky mat. Okay, I had better results, less movement. Now, that does mean that you dull your rotary blade faster. Okay, I thought it was worth it because it got a cleaner result. And I would say with this quilt, probably after I cut all the shapes on the quilt, I'd be changing that rotary blade. Does that make sense? But I wanted to bring up something. When I did it on the Cricut Maker, and it may not be the case for all cutting machines, when I did it on the Cricut Maker, I didn't make any modifications. The SVG size is the exact same size as the templates. And I didn't make any modifications to that. But I did have a customer, and I apologize, I can't remember your name, whoever, who cut it with a scan and cut. And the scan and cut shrunk down that applique just a little bit, but it shrunk it down. So I asked a dealer who I know well, so thank you, Riva. I asked a dealer who uses scan and cut a lot if this happened to her, and she said it doesn't usually happen to me, but let me try. Well, it shrunk down on hers too. On import, when she cut it with the scan and cut, it shrunk down on hers, and it was only a little bit. So if you've already cut out all your shapes and they're the wrong size, I would just shrink down the embroideries to be the size of the shapes. But I would recommend, as you guys go forward with really any quilt, you check the size, like you cut one set of shapes on scrap fabric, you check the size relative to the size of the template. And so you know, did the software on import shrink down that shape? And then you can make the correction before you cut all the shapes. There is no control I have over this because this is happening when you import it into scan and cut, and I'm not exactly sure why. I don't use that software. But the actual size of the SVG files is actually the correct size. So just before you cut everything, cut one thing, compare it to the templates. And of course, if you buy this as a PDF, you have a PDF template, and you should make sure you print it at 100%, right? Okay, so Renee's saying scan and cut now has a rotary blade also. That's what I suspected. I think most cutting machines, Silhouette, scan and cut, Cricut Maker, have rotary blades now. It's just my model's an old model, so it doesn't have it, which is why I always use my Cricut Maker. Does that make sense? So I use them just because I've had many over the years, and so the Cricut Maker was the last one I got, and that's the one that has the rotary blade. I would definitely use one with a rotary blade. A knife blade is going to be a mess on this just because of all those internal curves. But please check it in case it shrinks on import. Again, mine didn't shrink it on import. It fit perfectly. I'm going to do the colored one of this next. The colored fabrics don't come out. until February. Okay. Now, as for fabrics, there is no international localized fabric inventory system. Even if I get the sales reports way later than they actually ship, but say I got a sales report, it might have some stores that bought directly from BetterTex, but then it will list all these distributor sales. And I have no idea where fabric goes. And because I'm a spokesperson for Bernina, I cannot on my website recommend one store over the other. And if I allow links on my website, it will become a marketplace and it won't be education focused. So I'm not allowing links. What you guys who are looking for fabric want to do is open up the pattern, right? And I always give you the SKUs. So these numbers underneath the fabric, right? That's what you Google to find it. If you have a store that stocks Moonlight Serenade, which is the name of this line, the colored one's Twilight, and it's not out yet. If you have a store that stocks Moonlight Serenade, they will, if you call them, they'll probably cut you a kit, right? If they have the fabrics. But we're not gonna be posting to my group 6 million things because it'll really become sales focused in a short order. So that's how you find fabrics. Or even better, call your local shop and ask to order it. Now, Moonlight Serenade was sold out before it even started shipping, but they have more they ordered a long time ago that is coming this month. So if you have trouble finding it this month, next month might be easier to find it. Just because I know there'll be there's more due to hit the States to be bolted in November. Okay? Can you believe we're already almost at November? That is crazy. Okay, so that's the deal on fabrics, and then deal on this. When you cut it out, make sure it's the right size and that your cutting software didn't shrink it. Or, of course, you can sit there and cut it with scissors. If you're not up for the whole thing, but you love this pattern, I don't think I have it here, but I made 3 blocks, 3 of these blocks, 2 of the big ones, and then 4 of the small ones. So 4 like small, and I made it into a runner, and it was really, really pretty. Okay. So that's another option for you. I don't always do this much applique. If you saw it up close, I don't know if I can show it with my camera up close. I will try. I can't move the cords here, but if you see it up close, it has triple stitch detail inside the satin stitches. So I'm going to try that to show you that. Maybe you can. Do you see that triple stitch detail? So I have a little line of triple stitching in a lighter periwinkle color running, and here it's in a white. Let's see, here I ran it in a blue. I basically took the contrasting color and ran the triple stitching. Okay, so I desperately need a manicure and I don't have one, so you guys are going to ignore when you see my hands on the camera. Oh, I forgot to show you something. Someone ordered one of my star panels, and the star panel, you can get the star panel guide that comes with it and star rulers if you don't already own the star rulers. If you are ordering the whole thing, order the bundle because it gets you a discount. But this is a great panel that's can be made into a great holiday pillow. I keep meaning to do it. This is while supplies last because I think I have one more bolt of this. And it also comes in blue. So this is my winter star ruler panel. Again, there's a guide that goes with it. And the guide, if I have one here, I can show you. I don't know if I have one right in. Oh, yeah, here. The blue one's on the cover. Blue one. The guide shows you step by step how to quilt it. And you could make it into those ruler work panel pouches, the pattern I just came up with. or you could make it into holiday pillows because they make great 18-inch pillows. Okay. If you're going to do it into a bag, you should do it on Annie's Soft and Stable. Otherwise, pillows are great. Let's see. Okay, we have a lot of people here, which is surprising because this was kind of an unplanned one. So I'm going to turn it back onto my camera and quilt for you. So the first thing we're going to do is thread. As I said, I needed to thread, and I decided to do it on camera. So let's try to get in here. Thank you. My directions are awesome. Thank you. I try really hard on direction. I'm trying to force my camera. I want you to focus right there. Okay. So I'm at a Q series, and if I backed up, see, you can see the Q series, but I want to show you the tension discs on a Q series. So, oh, Roseanne said she did. I hadn't thought of it, but blue's the perfect color for Hanukkah. Said she did a pillow for Hanukkah. I always try to say it because if you guys are watching on YouTube, you don't see the Facebook comments. And if you watch on Facebook, you don't see the YouTube comments. But basically, when you thread on a Q series, I'm going up into this area on the side of the machine that has an arrow, and that triggers the opening of the tension disc. But when you get eyelashes, big eyelashes, like big loops of thread on the back of your quilt, it's often because you're not really in the tension disc. So one of the things that's nice about the let me just tell someone I'm live streaming. I have someone from Bernina messaging me. And I don't want them to call right now. Live streaming, but we'll call after. Okay. 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 Let's see here. I have to go back to my. Okay. So one of the things that's nice about a Q series is you can see the tension discs. Like you can actually see the whole thread path on a Q series. Do you guys see that? Like you can see the whole thing. It's all in front. But most importantly, you can actually see the tension disc. So if you have ever, go here, camera, it doesn't like refocusing. It's not like a smartphone. Okay. I obviously need to clean a little here, but let's just do this right now. Okay. If I go up into this area, okay, and then I go down, do you see those two little silver discs wiggling? Those are the tension discs, okay? If you just lay your thread on top of the tension disc instead of getting down in there, that's when you get the big loops on the back of the quilt. You actually have to be down into those discs. And that's one reason why, if you're threading with the foot down, the presser foot down, your tension discs will be closed. And one of the reasons people thread incorrectly is they forget to raise the presser foot so those tension discs will go open. Or on the Q series, they get really comfortable with threading and they stop going back in this area because they think it doesn't hook on anything, which fair, it doesn't hook on anything, but it's triggering the opening of the tension discs, right? So when you go back there and then come straight down, you're triggering the opening of the tension discs, and that's how you get your thread into those discs, okay? That's a huge advantage. I wish we could see the tension discs inside the domestic machines, but they're just built differently. Now, last time, I think I used my semicircle set to do this, and I think it was set 2. It's the set that has 4 inch and 8 inches on it. I don't remember exactly, but what I was thinking of doing at first, my thought was, what if every other like spiral or arch I did a fill? That was my first thought, but then I thought, I don't know. That would work. But my other option, if I wanted a more dense design, so I could do a fill here, a fill here, a fill here. Another option would be to basically subdivide this again and do another arc. So do you see how I use this ruler to make the outside of that ruler to make that arc? What if I moved it over again and made a skinny one and then filled the fat one, right? And then made a skinny one and then filled the fatter one. So what if I basically, and I'd probably just eyeball this, I made another narrow channel and then I filled the fatter channel. So I'm going in to make the narrow channel and going out to fill. Then I'm traveling to the next one. I'm going in, I'm going out to fill. Then I'm going in and I'm going out to fill. That would give me a more dense design. That would totally be an option if I wanted something that looked even more quilted, right? Um, so yeah, Jane said she's missing those discs about 25% of the time. Oftentimes people just don't realize they can actually see them and they skip that step and they're just like laying their thread on top of tension disc. It can happen on domestic machines too. Yes, Liz, I wasn't winding. She's right. If I was winding a bobbin, I would have the Bernina facing, yeah, the Bernina logo facing the machine. I wasn't winding the bobbin when I went to oil before this broadcast. I noticed this bobbin doesn't have a lot of thread on it, so I put in a new bobbin and I put this up here just so I wouldn't catch it under my quilt, and I didn't even think about like which way the Bernina was facing because clearly I'd have to unwind this before winding a bobbin. I didn't think about you guys seeing that on camera. Yes, the Bernina would go in if I'm winding a bobbin. You're absolutely right. It's just hanging out there so I don't quilt it under it, over it. Does that make sense? I hope so. Yeah, don't do that. Um, I think just to save time here, I'm just gonna do a fill every other one just because it doesn't need to be as intense as going back and subdividing these channels. Um, Actually, this isn't a finished piece anyway. I'll show you both. Okay? And I'm going to show you both on the same piece, but I would normally choose one or the other, right? Does that make sense? I hope so. I, you know, the irony is I really don't like live streaming because I can't really hear you guys, but now I'm stuck with live streaming because you guys like live streaming. Okay, so what I'm going to do the idea of subdividing with the more dense quilting first. And then after that, I'll just do every other one and I will vary the designs. But you guys know if this was an actual quilt block on a piece, I would choose one design and stay with it, at least on this block. And if I did this on another block, then I might choose another design. But I'd have more unity if this was an actual block. So this is going to go underneath. After this, we have to go to the creepy post office. I don't know about you guys. Our post office near our house is so creepy. I usually make my husband go in. It has like bad, it is just not the best post office. I used to have a really good post office and now I don't. I'm going to start with, I'm basically making another like skinny arch in this space. And I'm going to start quilting out and then I'm going to quilt in. Okay. So I'm going to do tiny stitches to begin. It's set on 19 stitches per inch, but that's just locking the first stitches. And then once I clip them, this is a plug for my curved snips. I love my curved snips. They're on my website. Oh, speaking of which, I just got more of my stilettos. And my stilettos are a stiletto on one side and a seam ripper on the other, and they're really long and they're heavy. So they're comfortable when you have to rip out a lot. Of course, you guys never have to rip out anything because everything you do is perfect, right? Okay, so now I'm going to change back to my default of 10 stitches per inch. I'm in BSR2 right now. And I'm going to go out all the way. Okay, so my narrow channel, I'm not going to fill. And my wide channel, I'm going to fill. So I want to start here to fill my wide channel. So I'm going to use my ruler to kind of get over to that corner. And I think I'll just do loose feathers, like not the fancy kind, just no backtracking, just kind of loose. And as I quilt these, what I'm thinking is for the curve of this feather, that stitch might be just a little long. So on the screen, I've changed it from 10 to 11 stitches per inch. And I might even go up to 12. Let's be crazy and go up to 12. Okay, so that's one. And I'd continue doing this all the way around. So let's do it another time, all the way around. I obviously used that side. Oh, that looked like, if your foot looks like it might come off, stop and make sure it's really on there. Okay, so now we're going to do that skinny channel, and I'm just eyeballing this ruler placement. Okay. And now I'm going to go, and right now, obviously, I'm looking at my hands. I'm not looking at your questions. If you have questions and you're watching live, put them in the chat. If you're watching as a recording and you have great a crisis level question or not a crisis, you can go into my Facebook group. That was a little bit jerky. I'm not going to worry about it. But don't ask on the video if you're watching a recording because I'm not there to answer you. Okay? So you can see what this is looking like. And I would do this all the way around. I'm going to do another one, but this time maybe I'll do like ribbon candy or something to fill it. I'm in my camera cord. So, and if your local shop doesn't carry my rulers, please ask them to. You guys are my best supports. Always the customer. You guys are so good for the creative people in this industry. Okay. So I'm doing like ribbon candy, but I got to get started. So that was kind of like a partial one. And what I'm thinking is go around almost a circle and then make a diagonal line. So circle. And I will not lie, it's more difficult on a curve, especially a curve where it gets skinnier going toward the top. But once you get to like a medium proficiency with free motion, which you get by practicing, those type of exercises are really important. It teaches you a lot. Just doing a quilt sandwich like this and practicing different designs and different channels, especially as the channel gets narrower and narrower, it really, really teaches you a lot. I'm in BSR mode 2, Cindy, because I'm in a Q series, so I have stitch regulation while I'm holding the ruler, right? If you have a domestic machine that's not the 990, um you would be regulating yourself with the ruler. Okay, so I really like how that is looking, but let's try an easier design if you're more of a beginner, and that would be doing loops. I wanted to show you guys my machine covers, and I realized I was just at Flash Sewing in Florida, and I'm going to Decorative Stitch, and I realized my machine covers are in the box going from one dealer to another, so I can't show you. Oh, I could show you the patterns, though. Let's see. I'll show you the patterns in a minute. So if I was really nervous about doing something like that, I could certainly do loops. So the first loop is kind of partial because it's hidden by this outside shape. And what I'm thinking about as I'm doing the loops is having my foot just hit the edge of the quilting area, not my needle, because it's really hard, you guys, if you try to have the needle hit, because one time you're going to go out of bounds or a few times you're going to go out of bounds, and you're really going to see it if you're trying to hit the needle on the edge. That last one wasn't very good, but it's okay. No one will ever see it in the finished piece. So I would go all the way around this piece like that. I'm not going to here because I'm going to show you another option. If I didn't want it as dense, what do I need to? I need to discuss batting, and I need to discuss. I told you guys I'd discuss something else, and I can't remember what it is. I'm using my semicircle roller. I think the number four, the 4-inch, 8-inch is in set 2. I have 3 sets. I have 3 sets of semicircles, you guys. Smallest is set 1. And right now, that's almost sold out, but more is coming from the factory at the end of next week. Then I have set 2. Those are medium, and set 3 are really long semicircles. And I want to say the 4-inch ones are in set 2. And let me see that for sure. Let me just count. So I have set 1. So set 1, 2.5 and 6.5, 2. So 2.5 on the inside, 6.5-inch circle on the outside. So it starts with 1.5, 1.5, 5.5. Then it goes up to 2, 3, 2.5, and 3. That's set 1. So this is out of set 2. The one I'm using now is out of set 2. I always get confused how I number them. But really, set 1, 2, and 3 are meant to work as one full set together to give you a range going all the way up to a 17-inch circle, right? So that's how they work. Oh, look at a receipt for something. I have no idea what I bought, but it's a receipt for something. Okay. Let's see. Let me finish quilting before I discuss batting. Okay. So if I didn't want it as dense, just every other one would be the design, right? Instead of subdividing each section, which I really like the look of, but instead of subdividing each section, this is going to be blank, that's going to have a design, right? So I'm going to try to do a spiral in the center, but I don't know if it's going to work out. I always tried these things live on camera, which is probably not the best thought, but I really can't help. I'm going to do loop down, loop up here. You guys know this is one of the easier designs because it's more related to writing. But the top loop is going to be a little bigger than the bottom loop because the channel is wider on the top than on the bottom. I hadn't thought about this when I quilted this a few weeks ago, but these spiraling channels are excellent for practicing quilting because it's forcing me to like be tighter there and then looser at the top. Because of the variable width, it's really forcing me to think about things. You know, it's important to stretch yourself even when you're like you feel like you're an intermediate quilter. So to get to the point where you have more control, you really need to practice 3 or 4 times a week for 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes each time for at least 3 months. And then you start feeling like you have more control. But it's important to keep stretching yourself, not always doing the same thing. Like I know you guys can do, like you get to the point you can do letter E, letter L. You know, that's the time when you have to, when you master that, it's time to move on and add things to your repertoire of shapes. Even if you're not ready to do it on a quilt yet, at least when you're practicing, try new shapes and don't expect it to look perfect because your poor hands have to be given time to learn. Just like with cursive, where we practiced all those years, you have to give your hands time, even if you intellectually understand it. That's why, even for me, it's important, even though I'm like doing this on camera, this is my time to practice because I have to be drawing fabric otherwise. That's important. Okay. So I'm basically just using this ruler. Oh, I was using the inside, supposed to be the outside, to get over to the next shade. Wow, I didn't do a good job with that. Wait till you see this. See, that wasn't a good job. Oh, wait, I don't have my camera on. I didn't do the best job going over my stitches there, see? I'm not going to rip it because I don't want to. Okay. Okay, so now if I did that loose feather design, it would cover this whole. Obviously, just quilting every other channel is going to take you half the time, right? That's the beauty of every other channel. I kind of like how that looks better, this more dense one. But I don't know, that's kind of cool. I could get into either. You know what I feel like I'd want to do if I did every other channel? I'd also want I'm gonna mark I don't think I have a blue pen here. Oh wait, I do. Um if I did this, I would want to subdivide, like do some echo, sort of echo quilting. It's not exactly echo, like some more ruler lines every other one. That's what I'd want to do. So to line up my ruler correctly, I'm going to eyeball this. I'm going to, from here to here, I'm going to separate that into 3 segments. And then out here, can you guys see what I'm doing out here? Out here, I'm going to do 3 segments too. This I made a longer segment because it's really skinny down here, but I'm basically taking this space and eyeballing it. And then I'm going to use my ruler to connect the points. And the reason why I want to do this is it will give more, if I didn't want it to be super puffy in here, it will give more difference between this and this if this is straight or this is an arc and that's really curvy free motion, right? This is why people ask me all the time, how do I decide what I'm doing? I don't. I decide as for my live streams, I often sit down and I'm like, huh, what do I want to quote? Because if I really had to plan these, you guys, I have enough deadlines. I don't need to be putting deadlines on this. Okay. If my daughter was here, she would have measured all that, but you know what? That's good enough for me. So do you see how that, because it's a geometric arc, there's no way I could have free motioned that, but that's going to give a lot of contrast to the curve. And so I would have chosen one or the other. I wouldn't be doing all these next to each other. Except on the practice piece, then I definitely would. Okay, I didn't draw this, so I'm going to do this really quick. Dividing it into 3. Notice I'm not rotating my fabric because that would take more time, particularly on a big quilt. I will tell you guys about batting before we stop for today. Whoops. I think I'll do the spiral in next time. So next time I live stream, I'll do a spiral in. I went a little off the ruler at the very end there. You see? Right there. Don't take something like that out. You'll never see it. Like when you're actually looking at the piece, you're not going to see it. Okay. So I'll spiral in next time and fill that center. But I hope that gives you like some food for thought. Again, these are semicircle set 2. If you order set 1, I might have 1 or 2 still out there, but I'm getting a bunch more in. Let me take off this. In a couple weeks. For those of you who have waves on, I have those on back order. So they are coming in with the semicircles. So it's going to be a couple more weeks. Irene, you can watch this later on. It's easiest to watch on YouTube actually, because Facebook only keeps up my live streams now for 30 days. You can download, like I can download it and then repost it, but that's too much work. So YouTube has them for more than 30 days. Facebook just has them for 30 days. Let me talk batting. I'm just looking at what this is. It looks like this is maybe 80/20. It's whatever I had left over when I trimmed off something. Um, I use all the batting I use is Quilter's Dream. I really believe in that company. They're a small family-owned business. They give away a lot of money to Lou Gehrig's disease research. I like that about them, and they're not that far from me. So I'm in North Carolina, they're in Virginia, and so um, when shops have batting, oftentimes it's regional. Like I see a lot of shops that have Windline batting when I'm out on the West Coast because Windline's made in Utah, and a lot of the cost is in the freight. But I love Quilter's Dream, um, and it sits. I primarily use. There's a few of them I use. I think everything they make is a quality product, like everything. But my favorites I use all the time are Quilter's Dream, what's now called Bamboo. Um, it used to be called Quilter's Dream Orient, and it's a mixture of cotton, silk, bamboo, and this proprietary blend. I think they call it tercel or something. So it's a mixture. And the reason I like that bat is it's a natural bat, so it breathes. It has the most beautiful drape. So if you're making a garment, Quilter's Dream Bamboo is just gorgeous, and I like it for other things too. I often will use it in place of cotton. Um, I also really love their cotton. Okay. So I will say probably I use their bamboo more. I feel like it keeps folds a little less. I love the drape of it. And if I want something really puffy looking, I'll put Quilter's Dream wool on top of it. Now, I don't have any quilts down here that have the Quilter's Dream wool. I love their wool. It's puffy, like a polyester is puffy, but it breathes. And if you guys who buy cheap polyesters and you wonder why your stitches don't form, polyester is plastic, right? And the really cheap stuff, not Quilter's Dream products, because theirs are all quality products, but the really cheap stuff that you used to buy in the chain store that's no longer around, that has globs of plastic. When the needle hits that plastic, it affects the stitch tension. And so I never, ever, ever, I think it's crazy to spend all we spent on quilts and then buy cheap batting. Because, also cheap batting can beard out of your quilt. It can, like, you can end up in 5 years with little furry things coming out of the needle holes. So I would not recommend cheap batting. But I love Quilter's Dream Bamboo. It's probably my most used batting. And then I put wool on top of bamboo to get those really lofty quilts. Now, someone asked me, not in this group, but when I was on doing a trunk show in person, they asked me about um, does this quilt have bamboo and wool? No, it just has bamboo. Because there's so much thread in these appliques, I didn't want to also put in another layer of batting. And this is just the edge to edge on this, okay? So I do really love Quilter's Dream Bamboo. I always have a whole roll of Quilter's Dream wool in case I want to do anything with custom quilting where I want to really see the dimension. All of my twirl quilts that I've pieced, all of my mini twirl quilts that I've pieced, I say all, but I've pieced one so far. All the mini twirl quilts that I pieced have bamboo with underneath the wool. Okay. Uh, Fat quarter fracture that I custom quilted. It also has bamboo underneath wool. The other thing I always have on hand is Quilter's Dream 80/20. Now, I live in North Carolina. No one needs a quilt. It's hot. So I get it, polyester doesn't breathe, but I don't sleep under my quilts. My quilts travel. And having a little bit of polyester in the quilt makes them keep folds less. The other thing that I definitely would use something with polyester for, I'd do it over anything else, would be a wall hanging. And that's because you know how those plastic bottles sit in landfills forever. Well, that same thing goes for the batting. So polyester bat or a batting with some polyester in it is, if it's a wall hanging, it's less likely to droop over time. If you look at the antique quilts that are hung and you know how droopy they get, that was 100% cotton, and they didn't have as good stabilization products then. And so it just droops. So I will say if I used a wall hanging, I would definitely have at least some polyester in it. Now, um, that you could even use full polyester, but a nice brand like Quilter's Dream, full polyester for a wall hanging, not cheap polyester you buy with a 50% off coupon, okay? The other thing about some polyesters, I once did a trapunto when I was first starting out. I did a trapunto project. It was a really cool quilt. It was my modern holiday book, which is now out of print. I still have some on my website, but it's long out of print. And it was these quilt with big, big ornaments. And I should show you guys that sometimes. I know I'll sell out of all my copies, but I should show it to you. It's in my warehouse somewhere. Well, anyway, each ornament had this huge puffy batting, and I used the polyester, and when I hit it with my iron, it melted and got crisp on one of the ornaments. So I was really mad about that. Quilter's Dream Wool won't do that. So, but if you was doing a wall hanging, some polyester is a good idea. I don't do enough to order a whole roll of polyester, but I do usually have a whole roll of 80-20 blend. So 80% cotton, 20% polyester. And that's what I use on my wall hangings as well. If, um, if you would like your dealer, I don't sell batting, right? Because it would be too much shipping. But your dealer, if you go into your dealer and they buy from Quilter's Dream and you don't see any rolls out and you want to buy a roll, they will order it for you. That's a special order, but they will order it and then you could cut off the rolls. I usually get the queen size rolls because I don't do many king size quilts. And so that's how I do my batting. So the battings I always have on hand, Quilter's Dream Bamboo, Quilter's Dream Wool, and Quilter's Dream 80-20. Those are the battings I normally have on hand. Um, People ask why don't I have a cotton because I feel like I use the bamboo instead of the cotton, usually. It's just I only have limited storage space. If I could have every roll of batting here, I would. But those are the three that are usually in rotation the most. Okay, let's see. I'm just going back and looking for questions. Interested in your patterns. Meg, if you have any specific questions, let me, ask me. I have over 200 patterns probably. So some Roseanne said she did the winter. I think that's it. Okay, so you guys, the next time I'll do the spiral in and we'll move on and I'll talk about something else. I don't know what yet. The next broadcast will be next week, which is the first Thursday of the month. Okay, I'm going to get off and go back and do the Bernina phone call I need to do. But I hope you guys have a great week. I am home all week, so if you order anything, it will go right out unless it has a wave or possibly a semicircle one because they're back ordered and I'm waiting for more, right? Um, if you order, please make sure you can receive, if you have trouble emailing me and you don't get your order, it's because your server is blocking my email. So use the contact form to contact me, and then I can write you from my personal email and tell you my business email, and you can unblock it. But I think that's it. Let's see. Oh, it says new messages. Patterns, I think we're quilting patterns. Do you mean quilting designs? I'm asking Meg, do you mean my edge-to-edge designs? They're all with OESD. Any of my digital products are all with OESD, which is owned. It's a sister company by Bernina. Okay. Okay. I think that's it. I'm going to get back to work. I'm going to go get some more coffee, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.